Good afternoon and welcome to True Crime Mysteries, where we take a dive into some of the world's most prolific crimes. Welcome to part 3 in our series on the murder of Meredith Kercher. If this is your first time watching my videos, hello and welcome to the channel. Please go back and check out the first 2 videos. It is linked down below. In part 1, we went into Meredith's background, the days leading up to the murder, and the preliminary investigation. In part 2, we turned our attention to the evidence used to convict and the results of the first trial. Now, in the final part, we will wrap up with how the convictions of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito were overturned, their releases, Rudy Guedet's appeals, and the retrials that the Italian courts looked into. A year after the murder of Meredith Kercher, Amanda Knox, Raffaele Sollecito, and Rudy Guedet are all convicted of the 2007 murder. Upon conviction, they all begin the appeal process. After Guedet's appeal, his conviction was upheld, but his sentence was cut in half, and the term of agreement was that he has to testify that he wrote a letter to his lawyers which directly implicated guilt against Knox and Sollecito. In 2010, Knox and Sollecito returned to court in Perugia to start the appeals. There was a new judge appointed and a new prosecutor. The key focus of Knox and Sollecito's appeal is the DNA evidence, the knife, and the bra clasp. The court appoints independent forensic experts to create an unbiased overview of the evidence. Their report came back outlining the glaring issues when the evidence was collected and the conclusions the prosecution came to based on that evidence. They outlined modern standards for the evidence collection and claimed that the Italian forensic team was years behind global standards. Many of the items in evidence were deemed unfit by the independent experts because there were too many opportunities for contamination. The new judge was tasked with deciding on if there was reasonable doubt enough for a new retrial. Meredith's family were forced to endure hearing after hearing, having to relive Meredith's final hours, and the testimonies left more questions than answers. October 3, 2011, both Knox and Sollecito are cleared of the murder of Meredith Kercher. They are immediately released after serving 4 years in Italian prisons. The courts deemed there was insufficient evidence to uphold their convictions. The judge refuses the prosecution's request to retest the evidence, saying it was unnecessary. In Italy, this release was not received well, but back in the United States, Knox received a hero's welcome at the airport in Seattle. Her supporters vindicated by her release. Amanda Knox settles into her new life back home. She begins taking writing classes and starts her book detailing the experiences from the 4 years in Italian prison. For a while, this seems like the end of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito's nightmare. They could begin to piece together their lives, but the Italian courts wasn't finished with them yet. On October 26, 2013, the highest Italian courts order a new trial overturning the acquittal of Knox and Sollecito, opening up the potential for a nasty extradition process for Knox between Italy and the United States. Unfortunately for Sollecito, he remained in Italy and was immediately arrested again. September 30th, 2013, the appeal process began again, this time in Florence, Italy. Amanda refuses to appear in Italian courts. Sollecito is alone in the appeals court. The courts order a new forensic team in Rome to overlook the DNA evidence, and they find Amanda's DNA on the blade of the knife. It was a very small amount, and the prosecution said that it proved Amanda murdered Meredith, but the defense claimed it was much more likely that Amanda had simply handled the knife while staying at Sollecito's apartment. In the beginning of 2014, the courts deliberate, and after 12 hours, they come back with their verdict. Amanda Knox is charged again with a 28-year prison sentence and 25 years for Raffaele Sollecito. Sollecito was arrested in a hotel near the Austrian border. His passport was seized, but he was allowed to remain out of prison until his final appeal. Knox remained safely in the United States. In order for her to serve her time in Italy, the Italians would have to win a court order to have the U.S. extradite Amanda back to Italy. In 2015, the final appeal process began, a year after they were recharged. The Supreme Courts of Italy, the highest courts, were tasked with either upholding the acquittals or the new charges. No cameras were allowed into court. After a day and a half of final arguments, the panel of 5 judges retired to deliberate. With Knox in Seattle with her family and Solicito with his, after 10 hours, the final verdict was pronounced. The guilty verdict was overturned. Knox and Solicito were cleared of all charges, all except Amanda's slander of Lumumba. Amanda makes a televised public statement expressing her gratitude for her supporters and the justice she received. They were cleared based on insufficient evidence, leaving the prosecution an opportunity to retry if new evidence is found. Rudy Gaudet is still incarcerated for Meredith's murder, despite claiming his innocence of the crime. However, it is still believed that Gaudet could not have acted alone. However, there has never been any effort in finding alternate suspects. Gaudet is set to be released in 2022, but his lawyers are working on having him released early. They cite that there is no evidence that Gaudet wielded the murder weapon. However, there is no evidence proving that they found the murder weapon, and that there were multiple assailants. Gaudet also claimed that he didn't know Meredith meaningfully, therefore would have had no reason to murder her. It does seem likely Gaudet could be released soon. He has already allowed day releases to attend an internship with the Center of Criminological Studies. He is said to be a model prisoner and, other than being beaten, has had little to no incidences in prison. In my opinion, it is my belief that Rudy Gaudet murdered Meredith. I don't know if he had accomplices, but I also believe Amanda knows more to the story than she is letting on. We may never know what happened to Meredith Kercher on that night in 2007, and we can only hope that one day, with advances in technology or with a confession, we can one day put this case to rest, especially for the family of Meredith. I can't imagine what decades of legal proceedings like this has been like for them. I hope that one day they have justice. They and Meredith deserve it. This is where I'm going to end this series. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. I will do a follow-up if anything progresses or if Gaudet is released. If you like the content, please support the channel by hitting that like button and subscribing. And if you want to stay updated on what I'm working on currently, please follow me on my socials. Links are in the description box below. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you like these longer series in the comments, and while you're there, throw any suggestions for what I should focus on next. Thank you so much. Have a great day.